July 18, 1984, 82nd Street, Brooklyn. The air in the Bensonhurst apartment is thick, humid, and quiet. Angelo Sepe, the Lucchese family's most efficient shadow, is finally relaxing. Beside him sits his girlfriend, Joanna Lombardino. They feel safe. They are wrong. A knock at the door doesn't signal a visitor, it signals an end. Three men burst through the frame. No words, no demands. Just the deafening roar of a silenced submachine gun. Sepe, the man who drove the getaway car for the legendary Lufthansa heist, is shredded before he can reach for his piece. But this wasn't a robbery gone wrong. This was a message sent by the very family he protected. The Lucchese hierarchy didn't just want him dead, they wanted him erased. The driver who knew too much had finally run out of road. Angelo Sepe was not a mastermind. He was a mechanic of violence, a Lucchese family associate with a hair-trigger temper. He earned his reputation as a cowboy, a soldier who preferred the steering wheel and the silencer to the boardroom. While Goodfellas painted the Lufthansa crew as a band of brothers, Sepe was the cold reality, a stone-cold loyalist who believed his proximity to power made him untouchable. Sepe's ascent was paved by the 1978 Lufthansa heist, the largest cash robbery in American history. As the primary driver for the Vario crew, he was the silent engine behind the Lucchese family's sudden windfall. While others bought fur coats and pink Cadillacs, Sepe bought silence. He became the go-to guy for dirty work, a shadow moving between the social clubs of East New York and the high-stakes underworld of the Gambino-Lucchese alliance. The euphoria of the heist soon curdled into a death sentence. As the FBI's pressure mounted, the Lucchese leadership realized that Sepe was no longer an asset, he was a loose thread. His reckless behavior and refusal to kick up his full share of the spoils began to grate on the bosses. The code of silence was buckling under the weight of federal surveillance, and Sepe's unpredictability became a liability the commission could no longer afford to carry. The streets of Brooklyn weren't just a battlefield, they were a political chessboard. The Lucchese hierarchy, under the ruthless eye of Anthony "Tony Ducks" Corallo, was under siege from the historic Mafia Commission trial. Every loose end was a potential witness for the feds. Sepe's habit of cowboying, acting without direct orders, threatened the fragile stability of the five families. To the bosses, killing Sepe wasn't just about a heist. It was a strategic move to insulate the leadership from the fallout of their own greed. By 1984, the walls were closing in. Sepe was a man out of time, his protection from the Vario crew evaporating as his mentors went to prison or the grave. He was being shadowed not just by the FBI, but by his own kind. The Lucchese leadership had already held the sit-down that sealed his fate. In the cold calculus of the Cosa Nostra, Sepe was no longer a brother in arms. He was a liability being measured for a coffin while he still breathed. The end was clinical, a 4-diem surgical strike. The Lucchese hit team didn't use a subtle wire or a hidden bomb. They used a silenced submachine gun, a weapon of war for a man who lived by it. As the bullets shredded the quiet of the Brooklyn apartment, Sepe and Lombardino were cut down before they could even register the betrayal. In the underworld, the driver who knows the route to the gold eventually finds that same road leads to a dead end. The silence that followed the gunfire was the sound of a debt settled in full. By eliminating Sepe, the Lucchese leadership didn't just silence a potential witness, they signaled a brutal shift in the family's survival strategy. The FBI arrived to find a crime scene that was a literal graveyard of the Lufthansa heist's secrets. With Sepe dead, the trail to the stolen millions grew cold, leaving only the hollowed-out shell of a crew that had once been the envy of the five families. In the end, Angelo Sepe was a ghost of an era that worshipped its own reflection. His life proves that in the American Mafia, loyalty is a currency with a rapidly depreciating value. You can drive the getaway car for the greatest heist in history, but you can never outrun the men who gave you the keys. The street doesn't care about your service, it only cares about your silence.